With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Get early access to Sleep Number's biggest sale of the year. 25% off the i8 bed, our most popular. Plus free home delivery. Limited time. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Don't ask me to talk.
And welcome to another fun edition of Don't Ask Me to Talk. I'm one of your podcast pals. I'm Eric Ryder.
Hey everyone, I am the other one. I am Stacy Heller, and I am super excited for this week's episode. These past few weeks, we have been really committed to the bit, watching The Godfathers Part 1, 2, and 3.
Was this a bit?
Well, I mean, kind of. It's part of our cultural blind spot.
Yes. It's more of a segment, I think, than than it is a bit. Where's the joke in this, aside from it being a little long and us having to stay up late to finish Godfather 3, which we'll talk about in our second segment. Yeah.
But in an exciting bit of good news, we have reached the end of it, and I actually completed it. So, on time.
Perfect.
Stuck the landing.
Awesome. Well, we got plenty to talk about in our second segment, where we usually tackle our cultural blind spots. So looking forward to that. And everybody stay tuned, of course, for our third segment, where we talk about our top topic of the week as picked by the Wheel O Topics. And this last week, it was First Broken Heart.
There's so many ways that we can go with this. I mean, we can go with actual romantic love. We can go with like the first time we went to like the ice cream store and they didn't have the flavor that we want. We could go politics. We could go like when
two fatties mourn over ice cream. Of course.
Hey, it's a thing. It's a problem. Like, no, not that. We can talk about, the celebrity crush that, when something happened to them. Like, there's a whole bunch of different directions that we can go in.
Okay, well, we'll see which one we pick. I almost feel like we need a separate wheel just for narrowing stuff down now.
We do not need any more wheels. The wheels are already spinning off of this bus, so whatever.
Very true.
All right.
Very true.
But in the meanwhile, the first segment, we always talk about like, hey, what's up with you?
Yeah, what's up? Both I hopefully had good weeks. I know I had a pretty fun week. I went to the coast this last week once again, got away and had a good time and took Gertie and we hung out on the beach and we did some swimming and we got some awkward burns and we watched some movies in the hotel room. We did, yeah. But and I say we because my girlfriend, of course, came along. And yeah, she still had the swimsuit mark from the last trip on her. And so this time I was like, no, you're getting sunblock. So I sprayed her down completely.
What a guy. Chivalry is not dead.
I'm trying. But I did the same thing for me, but there's always like a little spot that you miss. So I had a little like almost like an American flag patch on my shoulder. that just read that where my sleeve was covering me at the moment that I sprayed down the sunblock, but it shifted during the day upwards, and so I've got a little patch of red on my arm. But better than it all being red.
Totally. Now, does Gertie swim in the Does Gertie like to go swimming, or is Gertie like, not for me, dog?
She loves to dig in the sand and then take an extensive nap. And that is what she did every time
Gertie
we went
is
to
the
the beach.
diggiest dog. Do you remember that book?
She's the what now?
She's the diggiest dog.
The
Do you remember
diggiest.
that?
I've never heard of this.
The diggiest dog. Okay, I feel like when we have these conversations, I make references to children's books. And this one, it was in the book style of Dr. Seuss books, and it was called The Diggiest Dog. And it was this kid, I think his name was Sam maybe, and he adopted a dog from the pet shop, and the dog was digging through everything, literally through the town, and it was a problem until another dog got stuck, and then he was able to save the dog, and everyone stopped hating on the diggiest dog. So there you go.
All right. Well, I guess these are the things you miss when you don't have kids.
I mean, that's from my childhood. Forget my kids.
Really?
Yes, it's an old book.
Okay.
It's totally an old book. But anyway,
I just never heard of it before. I assumed this was like an 80s thing.
No, and my kids weren't even alive in the 80s. It's a late 90s thing. This is a 70s thing, man.
1967.
Yeah.
The Diggingest Dog by Al Perkins.
Yeah.
And it does have a very reminiscent to Dr. Seuss cover.
Right?
Yeah.
It was one of those books in that particular style. And it was also P.D. Eastman who did, I think, Are You My Mother, maybe? That whole series of books that came out in that very specific style. So anyway, highly recommend if you're looking for a good summer read.
Yeah. You can get through this pretty quick, I think.
Very quickly. But I mean, I don't know, maybe
72
you have kids or
pages.
grandkids. Yes. If you have kids or you have grandkids and they're young enough that they would appreciate a story and you have a dog, I mean, it's a match made in heaven. So
meanwhile, my beach reading is another memoir from another post-punk guitarist from Liverpool.
How it is such a specific genre, the fact that there is multiple for you to read.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's many more than but if you're interested, the book is called Bunnyman, and it's by Will Sargent, who was the guitar player for Echo and the Bunnymen.
I was gonna ask that question if there was a connection.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's a great book so far. It's very enjoyable. I mean, even if you didn't care about the music, it's really interesting. The way he describes growing up in post-war Liverpool, and his dad being a veteran of World War II, and all the stuff that he went through, and then how that kind of affected Will's life growing up. So pretty fun, interesting book, but especially if you like the music, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, read a Janet Ivanovich book, which Janet Ivanovich is known for her Stephanie Plum series of books, which is a bounty hunter from New Jersey.
Okay.
And all the things that would evoke for you. Imagine if Snooki were a bounty hunter. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I hadn't read one of her books in a really long time, and I found it in a thrift store in town.
I was just thinking of a mashup of this book and the Digging is Dog, and it would be Dog the Bounty Hunter.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So that was a really quick read. I forget how ridiculous those books are. So yeah. Anyway, that's my story of what I was reading. Okay, so what else? How's the car?
The car is great. I had a great time driving it to the coast. And yeah, it's really nice having the extra range that this car has. And the hotel had a free charger, so I was able to fill up overnight, which was beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, so no gas. And never having to visit a gas station again is just such a dream.
But then, like, wait. But then I have a moral question about this,
Sure.
or like, so how do you no guilt stop for snacks then?
I don't. If we bring snacks.
I don't even understand this.
But actually, we've got this down to a science. When we're going to the coast, there is a drive-through burger place that we always stop at. That is halfway, almost exactly halfway through the drive to the coast, and it's really good. We just stumbled across this in a small town, and it's been our go-to. We look forward to it every time we take this trip. We always stop at this place, and the burgers are fantastic. And so you get a burger, a shake, and an order of onion rings. And then, we're set for the remainder of the drive. So yeah, that's why we get the snacks. We don't stop at like a gas station or whatever, or convenience mart. Yeah.
I know, but ¿por qué no los dos? Why not both?
Well, I mean, this is like a 3-hour trip. It's not,
all right.
like a 10-hour
know-
cross country thing.
Do you know the name of the burger place? Do you want to give them a shout out?
Yeah, it's Gene's Stop and Go in Monsanto. And
Okay.
yeah, they're really good. One of my favorite burgers, really. They just do it up right.
There's a new place in the town over from where I am right now, and I think the place is called Big and Tasty. I've got to look that up. In Tenasket, and they have really good burgers as well. And now the talk of this is making me crave one of their burgers. And like what you're talking about, they have shakes and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what I love is, I guess the story behind this place is the guy that opened it not so long ago, he used to make burgers and, I don't know, concessions for local sporting events and stuff. And everyone was like, man, your burgers are like the bomb. You should open a place. And he did. So,
Nice.
So they're delish.
I got to say,
Like,
this has been one of the most burger-filled weeks of my life. Normally, I don't have that many burgers in a year, but this week I got some burgers that were on sale, and then the girlfriend grilled those up like the day before we left. So we had a lot of leftover burgers that ended up going into the fridge. And then, of course, we had to stop at Gene's Stop and Go and get a burger there. And then we, during the trip, we went to Astoria, and there's a place called Custard King that we stopped in to get some custard, and they have really good burgers too. So then we got burgers there, and then when we got back, we're back to the burgers that were already grilled before we left. So I think I've had like 5 burgers this week, which I think for me is some kind of record. Now, don't get me wrong. I could eat a burger every day of my life and be happy. It's just one of those foods like pizza that it's just like, okay, I'm on board.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I mean,
I could have had this yesterday, the day before that. I'm still on board.
I'm totally with you. First of all, I got the name wrong for my place. It's called Big Tasties. And then second of all, tell me about custard. I remember going to the Maryland shore or the Delaware shore. I don't know, one of those. And having custard instead of like yogurt versus ice cream and whatever.
Right.
Very, very different animal than ice cream or frozen yogurt.
I don't think
Is that
different.
what it is?
No. It's I think the difference with custard is that there's an egg involved somewhere, as opposed to just the dairy that's in the ice cream. And Custard King does like a soft serve kind of thing. with the custard, and they only do like 3 flavors, which is like chocolate, vanilla, and a swirl. But the weird thing was I ordered a waffle cone because that's my go-to for any kind of frozen dessert. I'm getting the waffle cone because I love a waffle cone.
You splurge.
It's not that much money. We're talking $1.
Okay. I don't know. I'm sorry. I have it in my head that it's really expensive.
No, it's not that expensive, but they're like, oh, we've been pumping so much custard today that it's really soft at this point. So would you settle for a bowl? And I'm like, okay. They're like, we got a waffle bowl. I'm like, sold. So I get the waffle bowl of custard, and it's like the thickest stuff ever. I'm like, how is this? Not ever, but I mean, compared to like soft serve ice cream, this was pretty thick. I'm like, how is this too, soft for a cone? I have no idea, but maybe at that point it had, managed to congeal more than it had been for the 5 previous orders. I don't know. But
Maybe.
Yeah, if you're in Astoria, Custard King is a fun place to go.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. Astoria, the only one that I have ever been in is Queens. Astoria, Queens, of course.
Oh, you got to check out Astoria, Oregon sometime. It's a super cute town that's got a lot of cool stuff. I mean, a lot of movies have been filmed there. So it's,
Really?
Yeah, you get this kind of deja vu feel when you go there. If you've seen like Short Circuit or The Goonies.
Wow, Short Circuit just came up the other day. The fact that you are bringing it up, the song that was part of the soundtrack came up. And
Who's
I was
Johnny?
Like, yes. El DeBarge, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's crazy that, like, of all things, Short Circuit has come up twice in like 5 days. Okay,
Yeah,
Short Circuit.
Yeah, I rewatched that not that long ago. Doesn't quite hold up as well as, say, The Goonies, but it was still really fun because it was like, hey, we've been there. I know that house. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, they've converted their old jail in town to a film museum. And because it was featured in the movie The Goonies. So they've got a really cool like exhibit of, like props and stuff from the various different movies, and a fun feature where you can actually go and film your own scenes and then download those and send them to yourself or share them on social and stuff. So it's a lot of fun. We didn't bother filming anything, but it was still fun to see. Yeah.
I really don't know Oregon that well. I've been to Portland several times. I've been to, isn't it Sisters, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I've been to like a few different places to like, I think I went to a lodge or something in Sisters. I've been to Portland for events and to stay a couple nights, but I really haven't explored Oregon at all. And I have a bunch of friends that love, like adore, are considering moving to Bend. Like they're like, it's amazing. So I hear wonderful things about Oregon.
Yeah, I often think that maybe I'll retire near Astoria because it's every time I go, I have a good time. But just so you know, some of the other movies filmed there were Kindergarten Cop, Animal House, The Shining had scenes filmed near there, Swordfish, The Ring, Free Willy, some of Into the Wild, some of Twilight, some of Benji the Hunted. So a lot of movie scenes have been filmed in the Astoria area.
Wow.
And it's really a picturesque place. So you can see why once you go, or just watch The Goonies, because that shows you right there.
Well, you could say that it's a storied. Okay, total silence.
That did about as well as my Chuck Mangione joke last week.
Well, actually, but that was good. Yours was smart. Mine was, yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway.
But yeah, had a good time, and well worth a visit if you get the chance. And yeah, there's a fish and chips place that always has a line down the street. So I've never tried it, but I think next time I'm gonna go to that fish and chips place.
You need to be like, I need to leave some stone unturned.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Okay. Well, that sounds like it was really fun. I had another fun weekend at the lake house, floating, drinking, riding my bike around. Pete keeps teasing me that it's like a jazzy, which apparently a jazzy is one of those like carts that you can use from the grocery store. When
Right.
you have so he's like, your bike is like a jazzy. I'm like, yeah, okay. We went to a winery. So, doing all that fun stuff. The steroids really kicked in, as I think we talked about last week, that I was put on steroids. And
Yeah. How's the roid rage this week?
well, I thought that I wasn't having any. And then some kids across the the veranda across the green, kept yelling free samples and like literally were yelling it for no less than 35 minutes straight. And I was like, I need a gun. And it was like, I'm like, oh, I think I just experienced some roid rage. And so from my experience, like, yes, there may be some trigger, but perhaps the response to said trigger is a little more extreme than it needs to be.
Right. Yes.
Since they're adorable children having fun on the veranda during a rainstorm,
Yes.
and I'm like ready to go postal on them.
Ballistic. Yeah. Well, I trust that you took a breath and moved on,
did.
and the kids
You
are
did
still
not.
with us.
The kids are still with us,
Okay.
although they are not giving away free samples anymore.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's hard not to kind of assume the worst with kids. Having been a kid, and you know how kids can be. Like, for instance, I was walking along in my neighborhood a couple weeks ago, and with the girlfriend, and some rando kids were just like, "You two are awesome." And I'm like waiting for the awesomely stupid, or
Right. Yes.
but they're just like, "You're awesome." And we're like, okay.
How old were they?
And they were like maybe like preteens. So
What?
you're getting to the
Nice
age where
preteens?
you assume that some surliness is about to happen. But but I kept waiting for that to happen, for the shoe to drop, but it did not. They were just like, "You're awesome," and I were like, "Okay, thank you." I just gave a thumbs up, and one of the kids was like, "You in the blue are especially awesome," and I'm like, "I'm wearing the blue," and I'm like, "All right, I guess I am. I guess I am a little, maybe I'm all right. Maybe I'm a tiny bit awesome, I guess. I don't know." But and then the other kid's like, "No, the one in the green is radical." And girlfriends in the
happening?
green. I have no idea. I kept expecting them to say like radically stupid or stinky or some kind of like, but instead it was just a friendly interaction. I was like, thumbs up to those kids for being friendly.
Wow. That is, first of all, that's hilarious. Like, what a bizarre thing.
Right?
Second of all, that's so sweet. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. Like, spontaneous, like, happy catcalling. What?
Right? And I would have been just as happy if the interaction didn't happen, but the fact that it happened and it wasn't ugly and nasty just made me go, maybe there's hope for the future.
Well, because we've talked about this before. Like, that demographic, they're scary. Like,
They can be,
like,
sure.
be so intimidating. I mean, it's like you just feel like, how much of a colossal loser are you? Because that age will 100% call you out on stuff.
Yep.
So I mean, you and the girlfriend, you are radically awesome.
There's a scene in The Simpsons where they go to New York for the first time, and Bart is riding on the bus, and he looks out the window and he sees a couple Hasidic Jews on the street corner, and they've got the beard and everything, and he says, "Hey, ZZ Top, you guys rock!" And one of the Hasidic Jews goes, "I guess we do a little." And that's exactly what I felt like.
Oh my God, stop. I guess I am a little.
I guess we do a little. We kind of rock, right? So,
well, and if they were in the Diamond District, then even more so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my
boy.
gosh. That is ridiculously random. And
Absolutely was random. Yeah, but it happened. So,
wow. Good for you. I haven't been catcalled like ever.
I don't know if that counts as catcalling because it wasn't like you're hot or whatever, it was just compliments.
Okay. But there is a guy on social media, sort of like the guy with the sign. There's the polite catcalling guy that if you are scrolling on social media enough, and now that we're talking about this, dear listener and Eric, you're going to find them, and they call out and they're like, you look like the kind of person that returned your library book. And,
But do they call it catcalling?
I think they call it catcalling.
Okay. Because
we're going to have to.
I think I've seen the guy you're talking about. I've never once seen the cat calling part of it. But just complimentary. Yeah, maybe that's what the kids were doing. They were just inspired by this Instagram guy. I have no idea.
Yep, maybe.
It was like, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I think catcalling is normally considered it's either a negative thing or it could be like a, hey, lady, waka waka, which totally is from a cartoon, by the way.
Right.
But, okay, we're going to have to look this up during the break.
For sure.
It's important.
And speaking of breaks, we're about due for that. Unless you had any more you wanted to add on from what happened this week.
I think I can refrain. I have one story, but it is more closely aligned with our cultural blind spots, so I'm going to wait for it.
Let's take this break then. We'll come right back and we'll tackle our cultural blind spot, which has been our ongoing project of watching the Godfather trilogy. And we get to what many people consider the worst of the three when we come back, and we both have thoughts on it. So stay tuned for more. Don't Ask Me to Talk. This is Eric Ryder reminding you to follow us on Facebook. We're at Don't Ask Me to Talk, and we're on Instagram, again, at Don't Ask Me to Talk. We'd love to hear from you, so check us out on social media and leave us a comment, leave us a like. Remember, you can always email us directly at asking@don'taskmetotalk.com or leave us a voicemail or text at 475-999-2726. That's 475-999-2726.
Don't ask me to talk.
And welcome back to Don't Ask Me to Talk. I'm one of your podcast pals. I'm Eric Ryder.
Hey, I am Stacey Heller. I am the other one. I have a story.
Okay, great. But before you get to that story, can I just say that folks expecting Dear Krabby this week will be happy to know that Dear Krabby is on vacation, summer vacation, but them is still taking your questions and your suggestions. So if you've got something you're looking for advice on, then by all means, please shoot us an email at asking@don'taskmetotalk.com and just address it to Dear Krabby, and we'll talk about it here on the show. But since we've got a little more time for our cultural blind spots, I'm assuming that's what this story relates to, Stacey.
It does. Okay. So here's the situation. So Eric is the man when it comes to finding various platforms and whatnot to stream these shows and books and all these various things, right? I, on the other hand, I am lazy and basic. And so,
I don't think you're either of those things.
well, thank you. And also, it's true. So I learned about Canopy thanks to Eric. And Canopy, as we've talked about in the past, it's a streaming platform that you can actually access free content through using your library card. And that's great. So I, of course, when I signed up for Canopy.
Hoopla's the other one.
Well, that's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
So I signed up for Canopy, and that's where I had watched a couple of movies, and I was like, this is great. I couldn't remember my library card, and library cards are that thing where you're like, okay, is it like a you don't use it and you lose it type situation? Like, I know I had one, but that was 17 years ago when I signed up for it, yada, yada, yada. So I signed up for an e-library card. So great. Signed up. Now fast forward, and I'm trying to find where to find the frickin' Godfather 3. I had been watching it on Pluto. Well, Pluto, like the planet, seemed to have disappeared because it was no longer on Pluto. So
yeah, they change their content pretty regularly.
Yeah, which, is annoying. And so I was like, well, now where am I going to find it? So, of course, I frantically text Eric, where is this thing? And he's like, it's on Hoopla. So I go to sign in and it asks for my library card. Well, I don't know what my library card is. I just signed up on Canopy. You think I paid attention? I didn't pay attention. And so I was like, shoot. So I'm trying to somehow work the system and use a different email or a different address. No, that library system, they are onto it. They know what's up. So I tried last night trying to find it, couldn't get it. It was like, you need to reach out to the King County Library Services. So I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I have to actually talk to a person. Now, they did have options that you could email or you could chat, but I was like, no, I am on a time crunch here. I have homework that I have to do before we start this podcast. So by God, I called up and I spoke with a real person. Her name is Kim. She is lovely.
Thank you, Kim.
And thank you, Kim. And I was like, girl, here's the sitch. And of course, I do not know how to tell a short story. So I was like, so we have this podcast. It's called Don't Ask Me to Talk. You should totally subscribe. I was like, and we do this segment and yada, yada, yada. And then, I'm like, and I need the e-card. And she's like, well, I see that you have one. However, it expires on the 8th. And I was like, what? What do you mean it expires? And she's like, well, you didn't verify it. And there's a thing you got to do. So Kim helped a girl out. And she told me what my library card number, my e-card, and my PIN was so that I could watch this. And then she advised me to set up an all-access library card so that it doesn't have to be just digital content. I could actually, I don't know, go into the library and get a book.
Beautiful.
And so as of,
you can check out the Diggingest Dog once again.
Exactly.
You want to refresh your memory on that one?
100%. And so thanks to Kim, I have now in my calendar a reminder to sign up for an all-access library card on the 9th. And so then I will be able to access things off of Canopy and Hoopla. I can go into the library. I can do all the things that I forget and take for granted that a library can do.
Perfect.
So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you forget what a huge resource your local library is.
Yeah.
And this is so not a PSA for it or anything. It's there. And you get so used to all the platforms and the apps and, Kindle or, wherever you get your books from and everything. And it's like, oh yeah, why am I spending like this crazy amount of money when there are resources that are at my fingertips available to me? It's crazy. So thank you, Kim. Thank you to the King County Library System for restoring my faith in programs like that.
Awesome.
So as a result, I got in under the wire, and with 20 minutes left to spare, I was ready to record today, having watched The Godfather 3 Coda.
Right. Yeah, which is what it is called now. I mean, I think you can still find The Godfather Part 3, but what's more readily available is The Godfather, Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone, which is noted winemaker Francis Ford Coppola's new cut of the film, which came out in 2020. Now, what's funny is this wasn't the first time he tweaked this movie, because back in 1991, he released The Godfather Part 3, final director's cut in 1991.
And by final, I mean like the almost final.
Yes.
Like the final draft 2.
Right. But I think he thinks he's got this right this time. So I think it makes sense for this to be the one to watch, because we want to give every benefit of the doubt here. And basically, it seems like it's all the same footage. He's reordered a couple things, and he's chopped out maybe about 4 minutes, it looks like. So it's a little bit tighter, and basically just went in and kind of tightened things up in stuff that might have dragged before, or at least to his thinking, certain scenes were dragging maybe a little more, kind of like this discussion. So I'll go back in 10 years and chop this episode down.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But yeah.
No, but it's important to know, like, I think you make a good point that if you're going to be a purist, like you talked about when you were doing your Star Wars experience, right? That, just because the technology's there and, you can change things up doesn't mean that you need to. And, there's the viewer opinion versus the director opinion. And this one was the director opinion. And also, we couldn't find a free version of the other.
That's right. But, aside from it, having a kind of unwieldy title, he could have spent some time editing that down, I think.
Yeah, right? I mean, what a dumb title. And also,
right. And it's not just The Godfather, Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. It's Michael Puza's or Mario Puza's.
Mario Puza's.
The Godfather, Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. So it is a mouthful if you want to say the whole title of the movie. But yeah, I think The Godfather Coda is maybe a better name for it than The Godfather Part 3, because it, in a way, does not feel to me like it's like the next chapter in the story. I feel like we've missed those chapters. Like those just aren't going to exist. And this is like an epilogue almost, or in musical terms, a coda, which makes sense because so much of this movie is centered around music. Michael's son, the Godfather's son, is now an opera singer, and a good chunk of the final scenes of this movie are set with him performing in an opera in Sicily. So to give it a musical term for it, the coda, and a coda is really just like kind of a closing piece to a musical piece. That kind of, it's almost separate, but it also kind of sums up some of the themes and some of the ideas in the original bigger piece. So I think
it's like a musical.
It's like a capper
epilogue.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of what this movie felt like to me. It was like an epilogue to their story because so much time had passed. It was like 16 years between the 74's Part 2 and this in 1990. And in the timeline of the movie, which again, I like spent a lot of this movie going, wait, what year is this? Until they finally showed a newspaper that said 1980. It's like, okay, I get it. So it's like with the timing, it's been like 21 years since The Godfather 2.
Right.
So, and I also spent like a lot of the time going, okay, is Pacino meant? Is he just that old now in this movie, or is he like trying to? Are they making him older in the movie than he is in real life? Because he looked a lot older, I thought, in the movie than I expected him to look at this point.
Well, he had like the sort of fat cat vibe that Marlon Brando had. And so it's like they're putting him in that role. And then with his health issues, I was like, diabetes? Yeah. What? Yes. This is like, I'm like, is this like Al Capone is being brought down because of tax evasion? Like,
kind of.
This is
instead of his syphilis, version? He's got diabetes.
Right. But with
somebody get me some orange juice.
Right. I was like, are you
some hard
right
candy?
And then I'm going to say my confession. Like, okay, that's interesting. But I think about in Godfather 2, how old Mary was at the end of that movie, right? And his daughter.
Yep.
How old is she supposed to be in this one? Like 20?
Right.
Like,
I think since it's been 21 years, this makes her like 25 or something like that. I think she was pretty young in the Godfather 2, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she's like early 20s or mid 20s maybe.
Which, okay. Can we talk about Mary?
Yes, let's
Sofia Coppola?
Let's talk about her because my understanding is this is the most controversial part of this movie. One of the things that people point to as why this movie is terrible. And I'll just say I didn't think this movie was terrible. I thought it dragged a little bit, and I'll be honest, I got lost with some of the plot. Because there is a lot of stuff going on, and I was you drift off for a moment or so, look at your phone to see who this actor is, and then it's like you're lost. But
yeah,
I was like, I don't got time to rewind. I'm just gonna try and catch up.
It got a little like while the other ones it was about like him building the business. It's like okay. We're established. He's trying to go legit, but also like he's going big time with like
every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. This is the famous line from this movie, kind of like he sleeps with the fishes or make him offer he can't refuse from the I knew it was you, Fredo. Those are the famous lines. In this one, it's every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. And I always thought like, oh, he really went full Pacino on that performance. Because when you hear like people quote this line, they go full Pacino on this performance. But shockingly, his delivery of that line was very subtle. It was very like, every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. It wasn't like how he was even talking about, his diabetes or whatever later, where he was mad.
I know. And talking to Vincent and being like, no.
Yes.
Like, you can't do that. Like,
you can't do it.
Right.
But okay.
It was okay. So Sofia Coppola.
Yes.
Now
she stars in the movie, and she's the daughter of Francis Ford Coppola, the director and co-writer of the films.
And she's, now she's a director in her own right.
Yeah, a great director.
Now, here's what I'm going to say. I don't even have a problem with the nepotism thing. Like, everybody freaks out, especially these days, about nepotism. I'm like, It's the family business. It sort of makes sense that if your parents have a predisposition to acting or welding or like being a plumber, you probably have a similar aptitude and interest. You've been exposed to it. So like that aside, but it was like the things that ran through my head were, one, she had some Valley Girl vibe-ish, like Italian Valley Girl vibes. Also, she was like very like seductress, like in the scene where she sees her cousin and it's like she gives them like $100 million to Sicily and all this kind of nonsense, and she's dancing with her dad. Like everything felt very like my wily womanly ways.
Yeah.
And then it was just the scenes, like the length or the lines were just delivered with like
Well, her character is in love with her first cousin, played by Andy Garcia in the movie.
Hello, I definitely have a type.
Oh, really?
Well, it's just each of the like generations, like, you know, seeing Al Pacino when he was young
Right.
and like Andy Garcia like young, I'm like, oh. And of course my husband himself, he is Italian. I'm like, oh my God, they're so cute.
Well, he does have great hair in this movie, like Pacino
the
had in
hair.
the first movie. But Pacino
Right.
no longer has the great hair by the time part 3 rolls around. But I'll just say, Garcia, when he's shirtless, looks like a bear rug.
Yep.
But getting back to their relationship, Sofia Coppola's character is in love with her first cousin, played by Andy Garcia, and nobody seems to have a problem with the fact that they're cousins, or
that's so
first
weird.
cousins. They're like, you can't do this, it's too dangerous, because they're afraid that she's going to get hurt by the mafia, because he wants to be full-on mafia, whereas Pacino's character is like, look, I'm done with that life. I don't want to, we're legit. We got millions and millions of dollars now. Why do we want to be involved with criminals anymore? Which makes total sense to me.
Well, I was thinking of you when he, at the beginning of the movie, he talked about like how money is not the point. It was not that the treasure. The treasure is your children and your family.
Right.
And I was like,
which you could have had without the crime, without the murders.
Right.
But, you really treat your treasure poorly.
Hindsight and all that.
But so that was a weird thing to layer onto this, was her being in love with her cousin. I could see them being close or whatever, but they never make a case for why they're in love. It just never feels like there's any chemistry there, really. Sofia Coppola takes a lot of criticism for her performance. I did not think it was that bad. Obviously, she's not the best actress ever, but I think she was kind of a last-minute substitute for other actors that had pulled out. So
Winona Ryder.
Yeah, and I guess Madonna was even in talks at one point. But yeah. Then they thought maybe she's too old for this role in 1990, which I can understand. But so she kind of steps in to save this thing. And what does she get for her trouble? But a whole lot of grief. And
shot on the stairs.
Yeah, and shot on the stairs, which also echoes the fact that Francis Ford Coppola's son had died not that long previous to this. So this becomes kind of a therapeutic thing. To have Michael's daughter in the movie, played by his daughter in real life, die. So spoilers all around here. Sorry, folks. But you've had plenty of time to watch this movie. So it is wild. But I didn't think that was the worst part. And I thought a lot of the acting was kind of stiff from great actors, which was kind of weird. Like, I feel like maybe Coppola just didn't take the time to get like the right reading of some of these lines. And I'm not sure why, because he's a good director by all accounts, but there's a lot of like kind of mediocre performances for certain scenes anyway, from people that I've seen in other stuff and are great. So I don't know, but it just, for me, this one, it was enjoyable, but it still, I can understand why people don't rate this with the other two.
Well, I think to your point about there was like a lot going on, it seemed a lot more like his business was more complicated. It was like less like snatch and grab kind of thing. Like, we're into gambling, we're not doing drugs. Like, I own this town, you're out of here, bang, bang. This was like a lot more kind of cerebral, if you will, with a lot more moving parts.
Yeah.
So that from a plot line standpoint was hard. And then talking about like the music piece, like the music was used to great advantage during the opera performance by his son Anthony. But in other parts, it felt like the acting was at like a constant like 5. There was not like sort of cinematic like big moments with a crescendo and then like this and that. It was much more quiet and hummed along for much longer than the other movies did.
And no Robert Duvall in this, too. And he's like the right-hand man in the first couple movies. So to have no explanation of him being gone whatsoever is kind of weird.
His son is a priest?
Oh, I didn't even make that connection. Yeah, but
like, so
okay, I get that.
Doesn't he talk about like, he wasn't even there to see his son become a priest and ordained and everything? And I was like, what? Tom Hagen's son is a priest?
Well, and then they've got George Hamilton, who is one of those guys who I only have known from him being famous for being tan.
Wait, which one was he?
He was the assistant. He played B.J. Harrison. He was basically the Robert Duvall role in the movie.
Wow.
But then the other thing is George Hamilton is so tall that I kept thinking, wait, did Al Pacino shrink over the last 16 years? Because he looks like way shorter than everybody in this movie now. Whereas in the other two, he looked like the same height or taller even than others. I don't know if that was trickery or whatnot, but they gave up on that completely. So like even Diane Keaton towers over him and George Hamilton is towering over him. And he's just wearing like a cardigan and readers hanging from his neck. And they like really played up, I'm an old man now.
Yeah, they did. It was weird. And then
you want to see him have some of the spark from before, I would think.
Well, apparently in real life, he's only 5'6" anyway. So
yeah, but was he 5'6" when he shot The Godfather in Godfather 2, or did he shrink a couple inches?
Well, I think he had an apple cart or an apple box.
Maybe.
That he was standing on. And the other thing that that I noticed about this was Bridget Fonda playing the reporter.
I loved her. She's great.
She was great,
but that role is so truncated.
It was so tiny, so short. And I loved her response, like, I gotta get pictures. Like, and that she was mad in the scene, like, like, you weren't gonna protect me?
Yeah.
It was very, very interesting. And, so it shows that because she reminds me a lot of Diane Keaton, like I guess the guys have a type.
Right. Well, also nepotism can work.
Right.
In this sense, because she was a Nepo baby, but also a great actress. So, I don't think we can just rule out people because they had famous parents. But I understand the frustration with that for, people trying to be actors that aren't legacy people.
Right. Okay, last thing. How about that Connie?
Oh, yeah, the sister. Yeah. Interesting, like her character arc, yeah.
Like, I mean, she started out in the first one, and it's like, her wedding day, and she's had like, husbands killed, and like she's left her kids and all these things, and then she becomes the matriarch of the de facto matriarch of the family.
Yeah.
And like sleep godfather. Like eating the cannoli. I mean, like that Connie is like, she was quite the puppet master.
Yeah, yeah. And then poisons a guy with some calzones. Not calzones, but cannolis.
They were, cannoli, yeah.
Yeah. It would be hilarious if he's eating a calzone at an opera performance. I mean, it was already enough that he was eating a cannoli the whole time, just really making a meal out of that meal. But it would have been even funnier if it was a calzone.
Well, and the fact that he didn't trust her, he was like,
you're so skinny. You eat it.
You take a bite. And
she
she's
takes
like,
it. She licks it and then gives it to him. And then he's like, "Oh, sweet," and then eats it. And then it's slow acting poison apparently, because it takes the whole performance, and she's using her opera classes to watch him whiff every bite. I'm like, okay, we get it. This could have been, 2 of those minutes could have been cut out of this.
But, it was. Yeah, pick a shorter song next time. I'm just saying.
Overall, I'll just say this. I'll say, I think that whatever Francis Ford Coppola did to this thing, it's worth watching if you enjoyed the first 2, just to have that nice cap on the trilogy. People are right. It's one of those occasions where I'm not going to argue with the consensus that this is not as good a movie as the last 2. I've enjoyed all 3 of these movies. But this is the weak link. I'll say this, maybe a hot take, maybe a controversial statement. I think these were perfectly good movies. I don't think that they're this masterpiece that has to be seen by every person on the planet. And I don't think it necessarily pushes filmmaking forward and as, I'll say I know it's made this huge cultural impact. I'll say I don't think I completely understand why that this is as beloved as it is. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but I just don't understand why it's such a big thing in people's lives and people's minds. Maybe it's, the Italian community is having really taken this to their bosom. And holding it up as, representing their culture. I don't know. But it's a fun way to spend 9 hours.
Yeah. And I think it was really a first of its kind to go into this kind of thing. It was, sort of went back in history a little bit. So it sort of told the story because Sicily is notorious for, mafia. And so it went back. It also felt like it was current, back in the 70s and like early 80s when this came out, and then going into the future. And so I get it, because it, I think, was really a first of its kind to have this kind of epic Italian mob thing.
Right.
But I agree with you. I'm like, there's other better movies.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I've watched it because it did, it did do what it is we're trying to do with this cultural blind spot thing, which is like, oh, that's where that's from. Oh, that makes sense now.
What did you think about the ending? Because my understanding is this is one of the big changes between The Godfather Part 3 and The Godfather Coda. In the original theatrical version, apparently they stick with him a little bit longer, because for people that haven't seen this, they basically fast forward to him being an old man sitting alone, presumably in Sicily. We don't know for sure, but he just puts on some sunglasses. But apparently in the original version of the movie, then he keels over. So they cut it down so he doesn't keel over. You just see him old and alone. Which is funny because with the subtitle being The Death of Michael Corleone, we don't actually see his death. He could still be alive.
But I think that was his death.
It's a metaphorical death.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did you think about when he took his ex, Kay, around Sicily?
Right.
And like family and that kind of thing.
Once his daughter, he loses his daughter, that's it for him, because that's apparently over the last 21 years what he's really clung to and has decided that he's going to make it go honest and become less of a hardened criminal because of her.
I mean, yeah. And, allowing his son Anthony to not become an attorney and instead be a performer and all these things, and trying to make good on this like promise to himself and his past self that I'm going to go legit. So I think it was like the death of that good guy.
Yeah. But it is
So-
interesting that, you no longer get the actual death anymore.
Yeah.
But personally, I think it's better that they left it a little more open-ended, and any shortening of this movie, I think, is a good thing in my book.
100%.
But yeah, so that's my take. And I think we're pretty much on the same page with all of this. But yeah, if you had any additional thoughts before we move on, feel free.
No, I'm totally in agreement with you. I think my favorite was the second one, even though it was long. The first, I get it because it's the entree in, and the third, it was like, okay, it could have been much, much shorter, and I think it's hard, though, when you're used to a gangster mob movie, to have it be as thoughtful as it ended up being. He was a very retrospective man in this movie. Like, he just gave up the family to Vincent with nary so much as like a yeah.
Right. Well, there it is. It's available for free on Hoopla. I think maybe Canopy as well. It changes platforms all the time. I know Paramount Plus has all these as well. So if you want to go on the adventure that we went on, help yourself and let us know what you think, or if you've seen these movies already. I think we're the last in line to watch these. But if you got
Pretty
thoughts,
much.
if you agree with what we said, or if you vehemently disagree, we'd love to hear from you. It's asking@don'taskmetotalk.com, or you leave us a voicemail or text us. And that number one more time
is 475-999-2726. We'd love to hear from you. And again, thanks, Kim.
Thanks. A big thanks to Kim for making this possible today. Okay, so we're short on time, but since I teased this in the last episode, I got to point out that I finally watched Animal House. That was the big movie that I said had loomed over my life, and I had never actually taken the time to watch it. I finally watched Animal House, and I thought it was fun. I think it's a lot of fun, this movie. So a lot of the stuff maybe wouldn't fly these days.
What? You think?
And one of the things that was surprising to me was that the song Louie Louie, is such a big part of this movie, right? The Kingsmen's, specifically the Kingsmen's version of Louie Louie. They play the song several times. They dance to the song several times. They shout along to the song. The movie is set in 1962, and the Kingsmen's Louie Louie comes out in 1963. So you
Really?
Yes. So you would think
Crazy.
you would think that's one thing they would nail down before making this movie. Like, just set the movie in 1963 then. But maybe I'm nitpicking.
That's funny. I didn't know that. Like, that's such a obvious thing, as you say, to get that right, people. Like,
Right.
hello.
So I was surprised by that. But yeah, overall, it's a fun movie. I don't think it's the funniest movie I ever seen by a long stretch. But it's pretty fun, and you can definitely see how it sets the template for every college going nuts at college movie to come after that.
Totally.
It's still the original and probably the best.
Oh yeah. It's again, it's the who's who of famous people in it is crazy.
Yeah. I should actually. I want to look that up because I was surprised by some of the people that are in the movie. For instance, you got a baby Bacon in that.
Right?
Kevin Bacon, I'm
such
talking
a
about.
Baby.
Yeah, he's very young in it. And Tom Holtz, also a baby in this, before he really became famous for playing Amadeus in the movie Amadeus. Mozart.
That's the second time that he's come up. I was just talking about him in the movie Parenthood, actually.
Oh, is he in that? I've never seen that one.
In that movie, yeah, with what's his name? Steve Martin and Diane Wiest and Keanu Reeves and Martha Plimpton. That's another who's who of movie greats.
Because he's so brilliant in Amadeus that I always
movie.
go, how the hell did this guy not become the biggest star in the world after Amadeus? And yeah, he basically kind of disappears after his biggest film role of all time and a career-defining role. I think he did other stuff, but it's nowhere near as famous as Amadeus, which is surprising. Whereas like Kevin Bacon just continued to go on and on and on to success. But of course, James Belushi in the movie, Donald Sutherland, and many, many more. But yeah, it's a fun one. It's on Netflix now. If you haven't seen it, I think it's worth your time.
I agree. I love that. All right. Well, I'm glad that you saw it. I'm sure, I think you said you've watched some other things too, but we have still to get to our topic from the Wheel O Topics. So you're just going to have to hold on to it until next time.
That's right. Stay tuned. We'll come back. We'll talk about our top topic, which was First Broken Heart. Stay tuned. We're coming right back right here on Don't Ask Me to Talk.
Hey, I'm Stacey Heller. I'm one of your podcast pals, along with Eric Ryder from Don't Ask Me to Talk. Are you liking what you're listening to? Awesome. We would love if you would follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram as Don't Ask Me to Talk. We also are wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can follow us, subscribe, like, rate, whatever it is that you do. You can also email us. That's asking@don'taskmetotalk.com. And if you'd like, text or leave us a voicemail at 475-999-2726. Basically, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Don't Ask Me to Talk. I am one of your podcast pals. I am Stacey Heller. And of course,
I'm the other one. I'm Eric
name?
Ryder.
There you go.
Yes.
We're so used to Eric doing the intros and the outros that,
Sometimes we got to change it up.
We do have to change it up a little bit.
We're trying to keep it fresh on the show here.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, hey, did you think long and hard about this week's topic?
I did in the 15 minutes before we started the show.
Classic Eric.
But let's set the scene. Every week we pick a topic. We spin a wheel called the Wheel O Topics that is loaded with various topics that you submit to the Wheel O Topics, Stacey. And so each week I like to find out what was the inspiration behind this particular topic. And today is no exception. So tell us, won't you please?
Well, thank you for asking. So here's the situation. One of the many differences, I think, between men and women is that when women get together, whether they've known each other for 5 minutes or 50 years, like they get to the deep stuff. They talk about the stuff. So in my group of girlfriends that I have, if we get together, we'll talk about things. Either, it's brought up because we've watched a movie and it's like, do you remember your first crush? Or one of our kids is going through something and it's like, they're nursing a broken heart. Do you remember your first broken heart? So this is that situation where it was, something came up and I thought, ooh, that's a good show topic. And just thinking about that first broken heart that you have. And as I said at the top of the show, I mean, I was thinking, of course, romantically, but there are a lot of ways that you can have your heart broken. Like, again, when your favorite ice cream place, custard place, doesn't have a waffle cone, that could break your heart a little.
Yeah.
So, but I'm thinking more of like that first, like unrequited love, or maybe it was a relationship and it didn't work out and you were really sad about it. That's kind of what I was thinking of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good topic, Stacey. And
I'm not sharing it with you.
I'm not saying that. Do you want me to go first? Are you asking me to go first? Okay.
Yes, go first. Tell me.
Okay. Yeah, it's I think, initially the romantic thing is probably what sparks the most like synapses firing with me here. Although, there's been plenty of occasions where I've had my heart broken by people that, I admired or whatever, doing something so awful or boneheaded that it's just like, oh, that breaks my heart, in a more of a metaphorical way rather than, oh, I feel actual pain. But, there is something to that when you, make it known amongst your community that you are a big fan of somebody, and then they do or say something that you find horrifying, and there's no way for you to, like, disassociate yourself with.
Yes, like the beloved comedian that you're like, oh, I love the Cosby Show, and then it turns out that wah wah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like that breaks your heart.
It
Or
absolutely
like I
does,
remember
yeah.
when Christy Brinkley and Billy Joel broke up, and for whatever reason, I felt very vested in their relationship, and I was like, "Oh, mi corazón."
Yeah, so there's plenty of that stuff. But as far as like romantic stuff, I certainly in school had girlfriends that I broke up with, or they broke up with me, I should say, or I just moved, went to a different school, So I think by the fact that having to move or go to different schools over time, I just kind of learned like, oh, well, this is not, and I could never imagine like a future of being like together forever with Natalie in second grade, for instance. You know what I mean? I even then had this like idea of like that school relationships just realistically were not what you were going to have the rest of your life. So when Julia in high school broke up with me, and ended up going out with one of my friends, I was just like, oh, this is a bummer. But I still kind of was like, yeah, all right. You know what I mean? Right. I was just like, this is high school. What, are we going to get married and be together forever? No, I don't want to stay in this city, much less, stay with somebody that I don't really have that much in common with. But just happen to like because we're in the same school every day. So, yeah, there was plenty of that stuff. But I would say back in the college years, I had a relationship with a Japanese girl for a few months. I happened to meet her like 4 months before she was going back to Japan. And then we had kind of like a really intense relationship, and then of course she had to go back to Japan, and I had all these ideas like, okay, well, I'm going to learn Japanese and I'm going to move over there, and then and I'll do whatever it takes, you know what I mean? And then but the thing with that was I knew she was coming back for a visit like in 3-4 months. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll see her again, something to hold on to, and we can send letters and stuff. And so while it kind of was quiet between us, and when she came back, she wasn't like interested anymore. I think because she had done that math in her head of, yeah, there's no way this is going to work out. We live on different continents kind of thing.
Right.
But it didn't bother to tell me. So I spent a whole summer kind of pining away and trying to learn Japanese best I could. And so, I mean, but it, of course, ultimately was for the best. Again, we're very different people, and I wasn't going to move to Japan, and she wasn't going to move over here. So it was a nice kind of thing encapsulated in a short period. But man, what a bummer that was when she left, and then also when she came back and was just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, oh, hi.
Yeah. That was a huge bummer.
That is a huge bummer. Oh,
and a heartbreak.
It is a heartbreak. I mean, mine, I think that I am missing a bit of a sensitivity chip. Like I remember having crushes on boys and stuff, and I remember there was this one boy, Brian Dunn. Hey, Brian, who from like 3rd grade, I want to say through 8th grade. I mean, like he was like my steady crush. I had a crush on him forever. And then by the time we got to 8th grade, I was going to be moving, and I remember I was invited to go to some party where he was, like a graduation party, and I was like, "Eh."
So were you
Like,
in the same schools from like
we were
kindergarten to junior high or whatever?
Yeah, so in 3rd through 5th grade, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we were at a public school. And he also lived, nearby, and his brothers overlapped sort of with my brothers. And so he was just sort of in my, sort of satellite of people.
Sure.
And then for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we went to a parochial school in a town over. And so I knew him from there too. And, that becomes a little bit more specific because he's from your town, in your general neighborhood, and he's at your school, and, blah, blah, blah. So that really didn't break my heart so much, which I'm like, oh, that's weird. But then I dated a guy in college.
Probably one of those things where, like I said, you did the math of like, is this going anywhere kind of thing?
Kind of.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things, like there's a sort of a safety behind like a real person crush where you hear that the other person kind of has a crush on you.
Right.
It's like you're going steady without ever having to talk and worry about all the complications of actually interacting.
Sure.
So that made it easy. But then in college, post high school into college, I dated a guy, also ironically named Brian, and my parents did not approve. And the heartbreak of that has actually less to do with the demise of the relationship and more that I succumbed to my parents' pressure.
Right.
And that was like heartbreaking. But in the end, like, I'm super happy with, Pete. He's married and happy and has kids. Like, I've had him on my Stacy Connects show before, like really good guy. And it would not have worked out in any way, shape, or form. His interests, my interests, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like, it's just so hard to learn those. Like, I feel like heartbreak is coming up against real life lessons.
It is, I gotta say, it is satisfying when there's somebody that you like crushed on and you felt like, oh, this could maybe really go somewhere. And then you manage to catch up with them later and and it's so obvious that it's not, it wouldn't have been a good fit. And like, they're way different than you kind of thought it at the time. Like that is so like, even if you're happily in a relationship and you're just like, you're just like, well, if everything happened for the best, it is so like, there's this nice, like, I made the right decision, totally. Or things worked out for the best when you see like that there just really wouldn't have been a future there.
Yep. So, 100%. Yeah. It's like, oof, okay, I made a good choice.
Yes.
Like,
or the world made a choice for me.
Yep.
And it turned out to be okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like that heartbreak, however hard it might be, like there is a reason for it. Yeah. And sometimes you think you're lucky stars, but it's still heartbreaking. And it's like the thing is about heartbreak, it is not necessarily the drama filled stuff that you see on TV and in movies and whatever. Yeah. It's just, it is so much more achy.
Yeah.
It's so like long and painful and just like, yeah. So it's not the drama thing that you can make it drama.
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
Like, might as well. But that's the thing about it is it's just like long suffering pain. Oh,
right.
But, are you Facebook friends with the gal from Japan?
No, I haven't talked to her. Wow. Since she went back to Japan. Why would I?
I don't know. You're not curious?
I mean, honestly, I don't even know how I would look her up. I don't know I forget what her last name was.
Wow.
I don't know how. I wouldn't know how to even put like Japanese characters into the search on Facebook.
I bet you could find her, and you know what? When we finish the show, you can give me what you know about her, and I'm totally gonna look her up.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible. It's
All
a
right,
whole different world over there.
It is a whole different world,
Yeah.
but the world has gotten really small. But you know what? I'm going to stay loyal to the girlfriend because the number of relationships that have gone astray and caused heartbreak because people reconnect on Facebook, it is not worth it. So you know what?
Right.
Never mind. We're staying loyal.
Absolutely. And we are loyal to the Wheel of Topics as well, which helps us pick the topic for next week. So let's do that now, and we'll figure out what we're talking about next week. Third language. What?
Oh.
I barely speak a first one.
Well, because I think typically it's very obvious. A lot of people are like, they think about high school language, like, okay, French or Spanish, or maybe ASL. So like, really, what's the third language that you would learn? Because that one feels more purposeful.
Right. But did you ever learn that second language in school? Oh, so you speak habla
yo hablo
español?
español. Sí.
Wow. I learned French, or I took French, and then I went to France, and then as soon as I got off the plane, all that French went out my ear.
Yeah.
And I remember like certain words now, but not having a chance to speak French on the regular, I really don't think that I speak French at this point. I probably speak as much Spanish as I do French, regardless of having studied French for 2 years in high school and actually going to France a couple times.
Yeah, no,
So.
I definitely do not speak Spanish well, so I will not pretend that I do. However, the point is we're getting past obligation and studies into what's that other language that you would learn.
All right. All right. We'll figure it out next week.
Let's do it.
So everybody be sure and tune in for another exciting, bueno edition of Don't Ask Me to Talk.
Have a good week, everybody.
Have a wonderful week. Thanks for listening.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.